Welcome back to Capitol Review. In Virginia, we now know when the special election will be held to fill Congressman Gerry Connolly's seat. Longtime lawmaker died last month from cancer. Special election will be held September 9th. The deadline to file as a candidate July 11th. And the 11th district covers much of Fairfax County and has long been a Democratic stronghold. FFXNow.com reports that 8 Democrats and 3 Republicans and 1 independent intend to run for that seat. And joining Capitol Review is Richard Marr. He's a professor of political science at Randolph-Macon College. Professor, welcome to Capitol Review.
Great to be here, Mark.
We're glad to have you. We know September 9th is the date for the special election. Before we get into a few of the candidates, let's talk about the 11th district. It covers much of Fairfax County. And how long has it been a Democratic stronghold?
Well, Northern Virginia has become the center of Democratic power in the Commonwealth. And so, we often talk about in general elections, even presidential elections, waiting for Fairfax. It's a huge influx of Democratic votes. It often, because the county's so big, taking so long to count, comes in at the end of the night. And it's been, I think, powering the Democrats winning a lot of statewide elections in the past few elections. So it's really the center, I think, of where the Democratic Party has grown in the Commonwealth over the past few decades.
Professor, let's talk about some of the Democrat candidates with the name recognition that seems to give them at least a natural advantage.
Yeah, for sure. If you've already won an election in the district, even if it's not with the entire district, that's super helpful in terms of not only a base of support, but making the case to other Democrats that you're going to win. And I think we have to think of the frontrunner as Fairfax County Supervisor James Walkinshaw. He's won an election in Fairfax County, of course, but also he was Gerry Connolly's chief of staff for almost a decade. And Connolly himself anointed Walkinshaw before he passed away as someone he wanted to succeed him in the post. So Walkinshaw has the victory of winning an election in the district, but he also has the kind of blessing of the previous occupant of the seat.
Let's talk about the Republican side.
Yeah, there's, not a ton of candidates, or as many candidates, certainly the 4 candidates. I think the 2 to watch are Mike Van Meagher. Van Meagher ran the last time against Gerry Connolly, still only won about 30% of the vote, but that's not bad for such a Democratic stronghold, and he has the name recognition from running before. The other person I think we could look at and should kind of keep an eye on is Karina Lipsman. She seems pretty plugged into the state Republican Party. She's been appointed to a board by Governor Youngkin, has been a congressional candidate in other districts before. So I think it's probably between those 2 if we're wondering who's going to get the nod for the Republicans.
Any chance we could see that seat change to red, and would the Trump administration's performance potentially have an impact?
Yeah, Mark, there's always a chance, right? You never know what the outcome's going to be, but it's pretty clear that this is not going to be a great year for Republican candidates, that the winds are blowing against them, a lot of backlash against the Trump administration. And a lot would have to happen for a Democrat to lose this seat. I mean, Gerry Connolly, is certainly an entrenched incumbent, but one with, over 70%, almost 70% of the vote. And I think just the demographics of the district, the way Fairfax County has trended, and I think particularly the Trump administration's policies in terms of federal workforce cuts, which directly affect people living in Fairfax, I think that's going to lead to a really tough road for Republicans in this race.
Professor Marr, thank you so very much for joining us.
Anytime, Mark.